The ultimatum. The Universal Concord's Grand Assembly Hall stretched across 3 kilometers of crystallized space, its transparent walls offering a view of 1,000 stars. Built at the intersection of 12 major trade routes, this station had witnessed the rise and fall of empires for over 4 millennia. Today it would witness something unprecedented. Representatives from 1,247 species filled the chamber. Some floated in specialized atmospheric bubbles. Others stood on mechanical legs adapted for the station's artificial gravity. The diversity was staggering, yet today they all shared one common purpose. They had gathered to deal with what they called the human problem. Supreme Arbiter Korvax stood at the central platform, his serpentine form coiled around the speaking podium. His species, the Zalathi, had governed the Universal Concord for 800 years with wisdom and patience. But even their legendary tolerance had limits. The holographic displays around him showed voting tallies updating in real time as each species cast their decision. The numbers were overwhelming. Ambassador Marcus Stone sat alone in the designated human observation pod, a simple glass sphere suspended above the main floor. He was a tall man with prematurely gray hair, wearing a plain black suit that seemed almost insulting in its simplicity compared to the elaborate ceremonial garbs of other species. His hands rested calmly on his knees, and his expression showed neither fear nor surprise as the votes accumulated against his species. The Kalari delegation, floating in their aquatic tanks, broadcast their grievances through bioluminescent patterns translated by the station's AI. Humans had established 17 colonies in previously unclaimed systems over the past decade, an expansion rate that alarmed species who took centuries to establish even one new world. The Mechanari, beings of living metal and quantum processors, presented data showing human technological advancement curves that defied all known models of organic species development. Deputy Director Thrain of the Vorthon Empire stepped forward, her forearms gesturing dramatically as she spoke. "The humans arrived only 12 years ago," she said, her voice carrying the weight of accusation. "In that time, they have developed technologies that took our civilizations millennia to achieve. They reverse engineer everything they encounter. They ask questions that probe the deepest secrets of our governments. They spread across the galaxy like a virus, adapting to environments that would kill most species." Stone watched it all with the same calm expression, occasionally taking notes on a small tablet. He didn't object, didn't protest, didn't try to defend humanity against any of the accusations. He simply observed and recorded. Elder Zix of the ancient crystalline collective hummed their contribution, their body resonating at frequencies that created visible patterns in the air. The humans are unpredictable, the translation systems interpreted. They do not follow established protocols of gradual integration. They forge alliances with minor species, disrupting power balances maintained for centuries. They share technologies freely with developing worlds, accelerating their advancement beyond safe parameters. The voting continued for 3 hours. Each species added their voice to the chorus of concerns. Humanity's rapid expansion, their unusual resistance to diseases that plagued other species, their ability to thrive in extreme environments, their strange tendency to find humor in the face of danger, their illogical emotional attachments that somehow translated into strategic advantages. The list of anomalies grew longer with each testimony. Finally, Supreme Arbiter Korvax raised his scaled hand for silence. The final tally appeared on every screen simultaneously. 46 species had voted in favor of complete isolation and containment of humanity. 0 had voted against. Even humanity hadn't been allowed to vote in their own defense, as the Charter required unanimous consent from existing members for such privileges. "The Universal Concord has reached its decision," Korvax announced, his voice resonating through the chamber. "Effective immediately, all human vessels will be impounded. All human colonies will be placed under Concord supervision, and humanity will be confined to their home system until such time as the Concord deems them ready for controlled reintegration into galactic society. This isolation is estimated to last no less than 500 standard years." The chamber erupted in sounds of approval. Clicks, whistles, harmonics, and chemical signals all expressed the same relief. The human problem had been solved without violence, without war. It was the civilized solution. Marcus Stone stood up slowly, pressing a button on his pod's communication panel. His voice when he spoke was conversational, almost friendly. It carried none of the desperation or anger the assembly had expected. Supreme Arbiter Corvex, distinguished members of the Universal Concord, I thank you for this demonstration, Stone said, his words causing a ripple of confusion through the chamber. You've just confirmed everything we needed to know. Corvex's serpentine form stiffened. Explanation required, human. You face complete isolation from galactic civilization. This is not a matter for gratitude. Stone smiled then, and something about that smile sent uncomfortable signals through every pattern recognition system, biological or artificial, in the chamber. You misunderstand, Supreme Arbiter. We're not thanking you for the isolation. We're thanking you for showing us exactly how you make decisions, who truly holds power, and what you fear most about humanity. The chamber fell silent. Deputy Director Thrain's fur bristled with unease. You speak as if you have alternatives, human. The decision is final and unanimous. Oh, we're not disputing your decision, Stone replied, pulling up something on his tablet. In fact, we anticipated it. To the day, actually. Dr. Elizabeth Chen from our predictive sociology department won the betting pool. She said you'd vote on a Thursday, and here we are. The crystalline form of Elder Zix resonated with confusion. You predicted this? Impossible. The variables involved in such a decision are infinite. Stone's smile widened. Not when you have 12 years of behavioral data on 1,247 species. Detailed psychological profiles on every major decision-maker, and a complete understanding of your political dynamics. You see, while you were watching us expand and develop, we were studying you. Every trade negotiation, every diplomatic meeting, every casual conversation was data. Supreme Arbiter Corvex's voice carried a new edge. You admit to espionage? I admit to observation, Stone corrected. The same thing you've been doing to us, except we were better at it. Did you know that your secure communications use quantum entanglement protocols that you believe are unbreakable? They're not, by the way. We cracked them 8 years ago. We've been reading every secret message, every military communication, every private discussion about humanity. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembly. Several species immediately began checking their communication systems. Others demanded proof, and some called for immediate military action. Stone raised his hand, and surprisingly, the chaos quieted. Before you do anything rash, you should know that every human ship, every human colony, and every human citizen received a coded message exactly 17 minutes ago. The message was simple. The Concord has voted as predicted. Initiate Revelation Protocol. What is Revelation Protocol? Corvex demanded. It's our way of showing you who humanity really is, Stone replied. You see, you've been operating under the assumption that you discovered us 12 years ago when our exploration ship accidentally encountered your patrol. But here's the thing about that encounter. It wasn't accidental, and it wasn't our first contact with alien life. The human ambassador touched his tablet, and suddenly every screen in the chamber displayed new information. Star charts showing human presence in systems the Concord didn't even know existed. Images of massive installations hidden in nebulas and asteroid fields. Data streams indicating technologies that shouldn't exist. We've been in space for 57 years, Stone announced to the stunned assembly. We found evidence of your civilization 43 years ago. We've spent the last 4 decades preparing for this moment. Every colony you know about? They're just the ones we wanted you to see. Every technology we've shown you. Outdated by our standards. Every human you've met? Trained specifically for their role in this elaborate first contact scenario. The Mechanari representative's optical sensors flared. Impossible. Deception on such a scale would require resources beyond any single species' capability. You're right, Stone agreed. If we were just a single species. But humanity isn't quite as alone as you believed. You see, we found others before we found you. 3 species that your Concord had marked for termination. Because they didn't fit your definition of acceptable civilization. We gave them sanctuary. In return, they helped us understand what we were dealing with. The Xenos, whispered someone from the crowd. The Forgotten 3, they were destroyed centuries ago. Relocated, Stone corrected. Hidden, protected, and very eager to see how the Concord would treat the next species that didn't conform to your standards. Congratulations, you just failed the test. The revelation. The Universal Concord's chamber had transformed from a place of triumph to one of stunned disbelief in a matter of minutes. Marcus Stone remained standing in his observation pod, his calm demeanor unchanged despite having just shattered the foundation of everything the Assembly believed about humanity. Supreme Arbiter Corvex's scales shifted through a spectrum of colors that his species displayed only in moments of extreme distress. You claim to harbor the Forgotten Three? The species we condemned for their dangerous ideologies and reckless expansion? The Synaptic Collective, the Void Dancers, and the Crimson Seeds, Stone confirmed, naming each of the supposedly extinct species. All alive, all thriving, and all working with humanity for the past 38 years. They taught us about your true nature, about how the conquered maintains control not through unity but through fear of being labeled problematic. The chamber's atmospheric controls struggled to maintain optimal conditions as 1,247 species reacted simultaneously to this revelation. Some released stress pheromones, others generated electromagnetic pulses of anxiety, and the temperature fluctuated as metabolism spiked across the board. Deputy Director Thrain of the Vorthan Empire stepped forward, her forearms now holding weapons that materialized from her ceremonial garb. This is a declaration of war, human. You admit to harboring enemies of the Concord. I admit to protecting refugees, Stone replied calmly, and I wouldn't recommend using those weapons. Check your targeting systems. Thrain glanced at her weapons displays and gasped. Every targeting system showed the same message in perfect Vorthan script. Protected by human defense grid. Discharge will result in immediate neutralization. When? She demanded. When did you compromise our weapons? We didn't compromise them, Stone explained. We built them. 40% of all advanced weapons systems used by Concord species contain components manufactured by human shell companies. We've been your arms dealers for 8 years, hiding behind 17 layers of alien intermediaries. Every weapon, every defensive system, every military vessel built in the last decade has human technology embedded in its core systems. Elder Zix's crystalline form resonated with harmonics of disbelief. Our security scanners would have detected foreign technology. Your scanners detect what they're programmed to detect, Stone responded. And who do you think helped develop the latest generation of security protocols? Dr. James Harrison, working under the alias Quillix-9 for the Mechanari Development Consortium. He ensured your scanners would recognize our technology as native to whichever species purchased it. The Mechanari representatives' quantum processors cycled through millions of calculations per second, verifying Stone's claims against their records. The confirmation came back positive, causing their metallic form to emit a low-frequency hum of distress. Stone touched his tablet again, bringing up new displays. Let me show you the full scope of humanity's actual presence in the galaxy. The star charts exploded with new markers. Red dots indicating human military installations, blue for research facilities, green for colonies, yellow for automated defense platforms. The galaxy map became a constellation of human presence. 417 hidden colonies, Stone narrated, 87 military installations in strategic positions along every major trade route, 39 research stations studying phenomena you haven't even discovered yet, and approximately 12 million humans living under assumed identities throughout conquered space. 12 million? Corvex's voice cracked. Living among us? Your favorite restaurant on the capital station? The one that serves those exceptional crystallized fruit arrangements? Run by humans, Stone said, a hint of amusement in his voice. The meditation gardens on Zelathi Prime that you visit every 7th cycle? Designed and maintained by a human landscape artist. The neural massage therapist who treats your scale tension? Human, with a very convincing holographic disguise. The revelations continued to cascade through the chamber. Every species began to realize that humans had been integrated into their societies far deeper than anyone had imagined. The medical researcher who had cured the Quillari plague 3 years ago, human. The engineer who had solved the Vorthan Empire's energy crisis, human. The artist whose work had redefined crystalline collective harmony expressions, human. Why? Corvex finally asked, his voice carrying the weight of genuine confusion. If you had such capability, why the deception? Why not simply conquer? Stone's expression softened slightly. Because humanity learned something from our own history, Supreme Arbiter. Empires built on conquest always fall, but connections built on understanding, even understanding achieved through deception, those can last. We didn't want to conquer the galaxy. We wanted to understand it, to find our place in it, and to ensure that when you inevitably decided we were a threat, we'd be in a position to prove otherwise. And how exactly do you intend to prove otherwise? Deputy Director Thrain demanded, her weapons still held but clearly useless. By offering you a choice, Stone replied. He pressed another button on his tablet and new information flooded the screens. In exactly 71 hours, humanity will reveal everything. Every hidden colony, every embedded agent, every piece of technology we've integrated into your civilizations. The galaxy will learn that humans have been the invisible hand helping solve their problems for the past decade. The implications hit the assembly like a physical force. The economic chaos alone would be catastrophic. The political upheaval, the security concerns, the philosophical implications of realizing their societies had been fundamentally influenced by a species they had just voted to isolate. Or, Stone continued, we can pretend this vote never happened. Humanity continues as we have been, slowly revealing our true capabilities at a pace that doesn't cause panic. We share our technologies openly instead of through shell companies. We help the Forgotten Three reintegrate into galactic society under new identities. And the Concord learns that sometimes the scariest thing about a new species isn't what makes them different, but what makes them similar. You're blackmailing us, Korvax stated flatly. We're negotiating, Stone corrected, something humans are apparently quite good at, considering we've been doing it successfully with all of you for years without you knowing it. But here's the real question you should be asking yourselves. If humanity could do all this, infiltrate your societies, compromise your weapons, study your every move, and we still haven't conquered a single world by force, what does that tell you about our actual intentions? The chamber fell silent as each species processed this question. The evidence was undeniable. Humanity had achieved a position of unprecedented advantage, and yet they had used it not for conquest, but for integration, not for domination, but for development. Elder Zix was the first to speak. You've helped us. The plague cure, the energy solutions, the artistic revelations, these were genuine contributions. Every single one, Stone confirmed. We could have let the Kulari plague run its course, weakening a potential rival. We could have let the Vorthan Empire collapse from energy shortages. We could have withheld innovations that have improved billions of lives. But we didn't because, despite what you might think, humanity doesn't see you as enemies to be conquered. We see you as neighbors to be understood. Even after we voted to isolate you, Thrain asked, her weapons finally lowering. Especially after you voted to isolate us, Stone replied. Because it showed us you're afraid, and fear usually comes from misunderstanding. We've been where you are now, faced with something new and different and seemingly dangerous. Our history is filled with moments where we had to choose between fear and understanding. We didn't always choose correctly, but we learned from our mistakes. Korvax uncoiled slightly, his posture indicating deep thought. You said 71 hours. Why that specific time frame? Because in 72 hours, the Earth Union Parliament votes on whether to accept the Concord's decision or reveal everything, Stone explained. I need an hour to travel back and cast my vote. As Earth's ambassador, my recommendation carries significant weight. I can recommend acceptance of your isolation order, dooming humanity to centuries of containment but maintaining your stability. Or I can recommend revelation, freeing humanity but potentially destroying the conquered as you know it. And what will you recommend? Korvax asked. Stone smiled again, but this time it was tinged with sadness. That depends on what happens in the next few minutes. You see, the real test wasn't whether you'd vote to isolate us. We knew you would. The real test is what you do now, knowing the truth. Do you double down on your fear and try to fight an enemy you can't even fully identify? Or do you recognize that humanity has already proven we can be trusted, simply by the fact that we're having this conversation, instead of you waking up to find your world's already under our control? The weight of decision settled over the chamber like a heavy blanket. Every species representative understood they stood at a crossroads that would define the next millennium of galactic civilization. They could choose fear and face the consequences of trying to fight an enemy that had spent decades preparing for this exact scenario, or they could choose trust and accept a new paradigm where humanity's rapid advancement could benefit everyone. Deputy Director Thrain was the first to break the silence. I call for a recess and immediate emergency session. All previous votes are suspended pending new information. Seconded, Elder Zix resonated. Motion carried, Korvax announced, his voice carrying new respect for the human standing before them. Ambassador Stone, will humanity grant us time to deliberate? Stone nodded. You have 70 hours to make your decision. But remember, this isn't just about humanity anymore. It's about what kind of galaxy you want to live in. One ruled by fear of the different and new, or one that embraces the chaos of diversity and the innovation it brings. As Stone's pod descended toward the exit, he turned back one final time. Oh, and Supreme Arbiter, the Forgotten Three have a message for you. They said to tell you that forgiveness isn't just a